you don't want the pictures taken. The rules are arbitrary, and they're designed to keep the American people in the dark.
Dignity and respect. That's all we ask.
Well,
dignity
no, it's
and
not.
respect.
You're asking, is this dignity and respect? Look at these people. There's a
dignity and
pandemic.
respect to the people.
Let me ask you. There's a pandemic.
I respectfully ask you, sir.
There is a pandemic. Is this respecting the rights of these kids?
I ask you. Please
Are you
respect
respecting the rights of these kids?
This is not a zoo, sir. Please don't treat the people.
You're right. And this is a dangerous place.
Please don't treat the people
and your
like
policies,
this.
unfortunately, are trying to hide them. I understand you were instructed when 18 senators came down here.
Please respect the people, give them dignity
I
and respect.
respect them, and I want to fix this situation.
We all want to fix
the administration you're working for is responsible for these conditions.
That was Senator Ted Cruz. You remember that video? He was visiting that facility in Donna, Texas. That's the exact facility that a few days later, the Biden administration finally decided to let cameras in, media cameras in, and that happened yesterday. So let's bring in Texas Senator Ted Cruz, member of the Border Security and Immigration Subcommittee. Good morning to you, Senator.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Good morning. Good to have you here. So what can you share with us now that we've seen your video and the video from yesterday?
Well, last week I brought a group of 19 senators down to the border, down to the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, and it began by meeting with the 10 p.m. muster of the Border Patrol agents and just saying thank you for their heroism, their courage. Right now they're not getting support from the Biden administration. We wanted to tell them that we appreciate them and are grateful for their standing up to protect our country. We then went on midnight patrol with them. We went out into the field, and we saw just a stream of illegal immigrants coming into this country, caravans walking up the trails that go north from the Rio Grande River into outdoor holding pens where the Customs and Border Patrol was processing them. We saw children. We saw 3 different nursing mothers in one of the outdoor pens sitting on the ground nursing infant children. The next day, we went to the Donna facility. Donna is this gigantic tent city that they built to handle this massive crisis, this massive surge in illegal immigration. Its capacity with COVID constraints is 250 people. There are over 4,000 people crammed into Donna. They're not 6 feet apart or 3 feet apart. They're not even 6 inches apart. You had children side by side lying on the floor. There are no beds, there are no cots, there are no mats, lying on the floor, covered up in emergency reflective blankets, right. And 10% of the population there is testing positive for COVID. It is a humanitarian disaster and crisis, and it's man-made. Joe Biden caused this with political decisions made in the opening weeks of this administration.
And they're coming like by the thousands, and it's not dissipating. And we know that the vice president says, yeah, I guess I'm supposed to do this, but she didn't do anything over the weekend, made a call to Guatemala, and says we'll not go down to the border. The President Biden says, I don't want to go down there. I create too much havoc with my detail and everything. Are either one of those things showing that they care?
It really isn't. Neither Joe Biden nor Kamala Harris has been down to the border to see this crisis that they created. And it really is, it's a stunning lack of disregard. In many ways, I think they feel politically trapped because they've made promises to their hard left-wing base that they won't enforce the border, that they will allow people to come. And they don't understand why that has produced this crisis. Last month, in the month of February, over 100,000 illegal immigrants entered this country, the highest rate of illegal immigration in 25 years. 30,000 unaccompanied children came. Joe Biden is detaining right now 17,000 unaccompanied kids. And this comes after last year, in 2020, we had the lowest rate of illegal immigration in 45 years. President Trump negotiated an agreement with Mexico. It's called the Remain in Mexico Agreement that said Central Americans crossing illegally into Mexico would remain in Mexico while their asylum case was proceeding. That worked. It dropped the numbers dramatically. What did Joe Biden do when he came in? He ripped it to shreds and caused this crisis. He replaced it with catch and release, saying we're going to let people go. And I got to say, it's heartbreaking. It is not right. These children, more than half of these children, are being subject to physical abuse or sexual abuse when they're in the custody of human traffickers. This isn't humane. This isn't kind. This is inhuman. And both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris want to wash their hands of it.
Sure. And when, it was a couple of years ago during the Trump administration where that image came out, kids in cages. It's actually much more desperate now. because not only is the capacity 1,000% what it was intended for, but also there's a pandemic, and those things are super spreader events. Meanwhile, Senator, since you're here, later today, 4:20 in the afternoon, the President of the United States is going to fly Air Force One out to Pittsburgh. He's going to unveil his jobs and infrastructure bill. The amount of money is so huge, they're going to split it up into at least two parts. It is the largest tax hike in generations and the biggest spending bill in world history. And the Democrats think they can get it, but it sounds like they would need some Republicans to sign on.
Well, look, the details are still murky, and we're just getting the top lines. But the first 3 months of the Biden administration, this has been an administration of the government, by the government, for the government. The only thing it appears they're in favor of is more government spending, more taxes, and more government power over your lives. And across the country, millions of small businesses are hurting. We've had a horrific year with a pandemic, with Democrat officials mandating shutdowns, with millions of small businesses shutting down. And now Joe Biden wants to come along and jack up taxes on all those small business owners, destroying jobs. I got to say, his going to Pittsburgh is particularly ironic. It really is a thumb in the eye of working men and women. He's going to Pittsburgh because he started his administration the first week by ending the Keystone Pipeline. With a stroke of a pen, he destroyed 11,000 jobs, including 8,000 union jobs. And he announced he's re-entering the Paris Agreement, which will destroy, again, hundreds of thousands of jobs across this country. Blue-collar, working-class jobs. You know, Joe likes to say he's from Scranton. Well, the people from Scranton are getting the short end of the stick with the government hammering energy jobs, oil and gas jobs, manufacturing jobs, steel jobs. Any job where you're working on the line making something, your job is getting a lot more in danger because of Joe Biden's giving in to the radical left.
And don't worry, he's got tax increases to surprise everybody. That'll affect all of us. It's going to be one of the biggest ones in my lifetime. Senator Cruz, you got your hands full. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.